These five biblical businesses, they never fail. Understand this, that long before Nairobi Security Exchange, long before the Wall Street, long before the Silicon Valley, and any other big enterprises out there, the Bible already revealed businesses that never failed. Not businesses that are built on trend, like what is trending, or built on speculation, but businesses that are rooted in God's unshakable principles and laws and promises. Most people normally always see the scripture only as a spiritual guide. And yes, it contains spiritual guide, but inside it, we have got hidden pages of economic blueprint that were ever written. And inside there, we have got models of work, we have trade, we have got wealth creation principles that have sustained kings, that have sustained prophets, and have sustained nations and kingdoms. And here is the truth: when you align your finances with God's design, you stop chasing shortcuts and start building something that lasts and lasts for ages. And so these are not career choices, they are callings. I'll call them callings. And they're not seasonal opportunities, but they are eternal blueprint. As someone who has a lot of interest in businesses, growth and expansion and scaling, I'm going to share with you five biblical businesses models that never fail. And this is with the research on what is happening actually in real world. So before we start looking at them, let's answer this question: why do these specific businesses endure when so many others are collapsing? Just check around, and as we go through the list, you'll discover that there are businesses that will always stand the test of time, while others, they don't. So for each business model, I shall look at the biblical roots, then I will compare with the modern expression, and then I shall explain why it endures the test of time. The first business is consulting, consulting or wisdom advisory. The biblical roots. The richest man to ever live, King Solomon, he had wisdom. And people, kings, and nations came from far and wide to seek his wisdom. 1 Kings 4 to 10. Joseph advised Pharaoh with his plans. Genesis 41. So it's from this analogy, it's from this Genesis that you realize that consulting, business coaching, and advisory is a business model that has existed over time and it has always been in need. Modern expression: business consulting, coaching, leadership mentoring, strategy advisory, executive coaching, financial planning, spiritual counseling. These are business models that exist in the modern expression, but their roots go back in the biblical origin. Why do they endure? They endure because problems will always exist. People who run businesses will always want to expand their businesses. People will always pay for solutions whenever they are in challenges. People will always pay for direction and they'll always pay for insight. And knowledge scales across clients, knowledge scales across markets, knowledge scales across borders. The way to grow a business in Kenya is the same way to grow a business in Uganda, is the same way to grow a business in United Kingdom or in the United States. So it cuts across. Did you know about that? Business model number two: real estate, land, property. Biblical roots. Now, God promises land to Abraham, Genesis 13. This shows that land is inheritance, land is covenant, and land is foundational. Modern expression: buying land, holding land, rental property, property development, agricultural land, leasing, and commercial real estate. These are sectors that are always in need. These are people will always live in a house. Whether it's raining or whether we have a crisis, people will always want to be in a house. This is why the real estate industry is always growing, and it's always on demand. Look at the richest people who ever exist. Each and every one of them, they have a property. They hold a property. Why does this endure? This endures because land is finite and it's always appreciating. It's physical, it's tangible, and it's hard to replicate. It holds a lot of value and builds legacy and often offers passive sources of income. Business model number three: farming, cultivation, and agriculture. Do you know that during lockdown, the few services that are referred to as essential, one of them is farming, because agriculture and farming are the backbone of any single country. People can live without going to work, but people can't live without food. Biblical roots. The Garden of mandate, Eden's mandate to till and keep, Genesis 2:15. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob were as herdsmen and they were farmers. Joseph stores grains. In the modern expression, be it crop farming, horticulture, aquaculture, greenhouse farming, value addition agriculture, this includes processing, packaging, and organic produce. Why does this endure? This endures because people always need food. You and me, you need food. Cultivation is basic necessity. And many other opportunities, many other jobs emanate from agriculture. Agri-tech, vertical farming, organic markets, all of them emanate from agriculture. Then we have got trade and commerce as the fourth business model. The biblical root is in Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31, the woman who sold goods, she imported, she was a merchant. Proverbs 31:24. Also, Joseph managed the grain trade when he was managing during the drought. He was managing people who were coming to purchase grains. In the modern expression, retail trade, import and export, e-commerce, product manufacturing, supply chain, and digital marketplaces. Why does this endure? Because exchange is at the heart of any economy. Buying and selling, exchanging is at the heart of any economy. Goods, services, trade will always move from one place to another. And therefore, commerce adapts to tech, but the core always remains. The last business is transportation, stroke logistics, or movement. In the biblical roots, in the biblical origin, Joseph's family sent cats. Cats, not cats, animal, but cats, the thing that's used to move. Genesis 45:19. Paul's missionary used to travel in the book of Acts. The journey of Jesus, the caravan of commerce in the biblical times. In the modern expression, delivery services, logistics companies, ride sharing, freight transport, courier services, supply chain services, last mile delivery, drone logistics, name them. There are so many. Transport is one of actually the few things that can also be referred to as an essential need, because we can't live without commuting, without transport. Why does this business endure? Because you can't trade or move things or farm without transportation. Eh, What we are saying is that movement is equals to access to markets, access to clients, and access to resources, which is very, very critical and essential in any economy. Why do these businesses never fail? I've got 4 reasons why they never fail. Reason number 1, they're biblically proven. Each model that we have gone through has roots in the scripture, like Solomon's wisdom, patriarchs owning land, trade in Proverbs, Joseph's logistics, farming in Genesis. These are not human inventions, but they are divine patterns. So if you engage in them, you are just continuing the divine pattern. Reason number 2, God's commandment and principle. Many of these are tied to God's commandments, which are stewardship, be a steward, stewardship of the earth, Genesis, dominion, and working with diligence, Proverbs, provisions, sowing and reaping, multiplication. Reason number 3, they are eternal and in demand. These business models, they meet timeless human needs. Look at land for nourishment and farming, knowledge and wisdom for consulting and teaching, movement for transport, goods and trades. Like they will always be in demand. Then finally, they are scalable and transferable. You and me understand that one thing about businesses is that they have to be scalable. So these businesses are not limited to one location or to one generation. They can scale, they can replicate, they can diversify, they can pass legacy from one generation to the other. 100 years ago, people were trading, people are still trading. 100 years ago, people were farming, they're still farming. People were moving, they're still moving. So they are scalable and transferable from one generation to another. These businesses, as I conclude, they are not just ideas, but they are God's blueprint for lasting wealth. Consulting and wisdom, real estate, farming, trade, and transportation, they are woven, they are cultured through scripture and confirmed by history. They feed nations, they build kingdoms, they sustain families from Abraham to Solomon, from Joseph to Paul. Now, the world will always chase trends. Cryptocurrency today, gold and silver, oil, something else will come up tomorrow, AI today and tomorrow. But these businesses will endure forever. So if you want your finances to be unshakable and to be stable, build your businesses around these businesses. Align your work with God's wisdom, and you'll not just make a living, but you leave a legacy. Because when your business is rooted in the Bible and in the scripture, it's more than just a hustle, it becomes a calling, it becomes a ministry, and it becomes a kind of business that never fails. That is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.